Good evening, gospel revolutionaries around the whole world. This is Michael Lilborn Williams coming to you once again from right here in the town of Clarksville, the bonus room that the last train to Clarksville brought me here. So we appreciate you joining me here, and we've got some things to share with you. I want to share with you about from the book of John again. I shared with you from the book of John last week, and I'm going to do that again. And we're going to pick up where we actually left off, and then we're going to go over into John chapter 2, because after I'd finished that session, I saw that there was a continuation of the thought that we picked up on. And I have three words for you: hallmark, benchmark, and watermark. Hallmark, benchmark, and watermark. Now let me tell you what those three words defined are. The term hallmark means a mark stamped on articles of gold, silver, or platinum in Britain, certifying their standard of purity. So a hallmark is a specific thing. Hallmark's not the movies you see on TV. Hallmark is actually a term out of Britain, and it's a stamp of purity on precious metals, that they are indeed of this degree of purity. The term benchmark means a standard or point of reference against which things can be compared or assessed. So a benchmark is a standard or point of reference against which things can be compared or assessed. Now, you already know that we do a lot of comparison and assessing around here. And we go around a whole lot looking for that hallmark also. And the watermark, the term watermark means a faint design in some paper during manufacture that is visible when held up against the light and typically identifies the maker. I love all of those. Now we're going to find out what the hallmark is when you're researching and studying to understand the truth of the gospel. What is the hallmark? What is the benchmark? What is the watermark? Where do we find this standard that something is stamped just like the watermark on a piece of paper, and you can hold it up and say, oh, that's who the maker is? It's very clear here. When you're looking at a piece of gold or platinum in Britain and you're wanting to know the standard of purity, it's stamped with a hallmark. And the benchmark is that point of reference where that you can assess or compare something and assess its validity. I'm excited about this. John chapter 2, verse 43. The day following, Jesus would go forth into Galilee, and findeth Philip, and saith unto him, Follow me. Now Philip was of Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip findeth Nathanael, and saith unto him, We have found him of whom Moses and the law and the prophets did write, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. Now we have Moses, the law, and the prophets. You already can see where I'm going here. How did people identify Jesus? Just because of his miracles? That's what many would want you to believe, but I'm going to show you where that Jesus didn't have a lot of confidence in people who believed in who he was based on his miracles. He saw a difference. He saw a difference between those who related to him through his miraculous works and those who related to him through something that he considered to be the hallmarks, the benchmark, and the watermark that everyone should have been using to this very day, should be in the application of discerning truth, even when they were identifying Jesus. So we have Moses, the hallmark, the law, the benchmark, and the prophets, the watermark. I'll let you write all that down yourself. Moses, the hallmark, the law, the benchmark, and the prophets, the watermark. Man, I'm telling you what, you want to know whether the prophecies, if you want to see Jesus, then look at the prophets and see, hold that paper up and see the validity of the maker of this. Who is this? Can you find the identity? Yes, you can. It's a very sure identity. It's Jesus the Christ, the Son of God, who came into this world to take away the sin of the world, not the misperceptions of the world. I'm sorry. I get so tickled at people's definitions because they're so offended at Christ. They're offended to say that Jesus took the wrath of God. It offends them. And Jesus said, "Blessed is he who is not offended in me." We're going to jump over to chapter 2 and pick up on a story that begins in verse 13. And it says, "And the Jews' Passover was at hand. And Jesus went up to Jerusalem and found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves and changers of money sitting. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money and overthrew the tables." I actually just did a Google search, and do you know that our mystic friends, one of the things they say is that Jesus drove out the animals. Thanks for playing. What it says is that when he had made a scourge of small cords, now they want to make this something that was just like a whisper or something, but that's not what this was. And the fact that they were small cords meant they hurt worse. And these were many cords, and it says that he used it to drive them out. And that, if you can go look up the word yourself, the word drive them out, it doesn't mean, would you please leave? That's not what that's talking about. He used this instrument that he made, and he whipped them with it. Well, it just doesn't say that. Yes, it does. It says that he drove them out of the temple. Well, yeah, but that was just the donkeys and the goats. No. I feel silly that I have to assure you that that's not what this says. And to do that, we have to read it again. It says, "And he found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves and the changers of money sitting." So he wasn't angry at the money. He wasn't angry at the sheep. He wasn't angry at the oxen. "And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drave them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money and overthrew the tables." You know, when you're desperate to prove a point, you will blind yourself to what is exactly right in front of you. The calculated, deliberate, preferred ignorance to say that he did not, number one, this was a whisper, and And number two, that it was the oxen and the cattle that he drove out. But it says very clearly he drove them out, and he also drove out the oxen, and that they also went along with them. And said unto them that sold doves, take these things hence, and make not my Father's house a house of merchandise. And his disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up. So now when it says that it was written, they're remembering the Psalms. In fact, I think that's recorded in Psalm 69:9. Verse 18, then answered the Jews and said unto him, what sign showest thou unto us? Show us a sign, seeing that thou doest these things. Jesus answered and said unto them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up again. Now we have a lot of people that are have different positions about this. And whether Jesus was ever prophesied in Matthew, was he prophesying about the temple being destroyed in 70 AD? It's a possibility, but it has nothing to do with the fulfillment of scriptures. Jesus said, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up again. Then said the Jews, 46 years was the temple in building, and wilt thou rear it up in 3 days? But he spake of the temple of his body. When therefore he was risen from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said these things unto them, and they believed the scriptures and the word which Jesus had said. You see, even the words that Jesus said had to be matched up against the hallmark, the watermark, and the benchmark of the law, the Psalms, and the prophets. Now, I know I just heard the chafe go up a lot of my friends' spine, but this era that we have come into, an error of defaming the scriptures. I feel very strongly about this, as you guys know, but I think Jesus felt very strong about it. Peter, James, and John, even though they disagreed with each other about a lot of things, they didn't disagree with each other about what the scriptures were, nor their validity. They did not disagree that the law, the Psalms, and the prophets were the hallmark, the benchmark, and the watermark that everything should be measured against to see whether it was true. Now look what Jesus says here in the rest of this. It says, when therefore he was risen from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said unto them, and they believed what he had said unto them, and they believed the scripture and the words which Jesus said unto them. So you can't say, well, I live by the teachings of Jesus, without living by, or at least validating the teachings of Jesus by the scriptures. You're not going to understand what Jesus said or why he said it if you don't understand the scriptures. Now, when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover in the feast day, many believed in his name when they saw the miracles which he did. I want you to take particular notice about the group that believed because they believed him because they saw it in the scriptures. Now, he didn't have a thing to say about them. There was no comment back from Jesus about them. It says, now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover in the feast day, many believed in his name when they saw the miracles which he did. But Jesus did not commit himself unto them, because he knew all, and needed not that any man should testify of him, for he knew what was in man. The issue is, does man know what's in the scriptures? That's what Jesus was impressed with. Jesus had no pushback on the people who had come to believe and accept him, because they saw him in the scriptures. But the people who believed in him because they saw the miracles, he said, I don't trust these people at all. I tell you, I don't either. Oh my goodness. We love you guys. We are going to encourage you about the scriptures because the scriptures are the thing that set the watermark, the benchmark, and the hallmark of the work of the cross. You can depend on it.